Jared Goff, Aidan Hutchinson, and the Detroit Lions host Jameis Winston and the New York Giants in this NFC matchup. Now, both of these teams are coming off of some very tough losses. Let's start with the Detroit Lions, who were beaten by the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football. Their defense played their darn hearts out. On the road against Philly, their quarterback goes 14 of 37 against Philadelphia, struggling throughout the entire day. Arguably Goff's probably second worst game as a Lion, but besides that Houston game where he had 5 picks last year, where they still won, it felt like Detroit could have eked out a way to tie that game or even go for 2 at the end for the win. Maybe on a final possession if there wasn't that bogus call by the officials on that third down, giving them the automatic first down there at the end to essentially win it. But they played a very clean game on defense, limiting Philadelphia. Saquon Barkley, not all that much going. Smith and A.J. Brown, not a huge factor combined in this one overall. 8 catches for 57 yards. I mean, are you kidding me? You'd take that all day long. If I told you you'd give up 16 points to the Eagles, you would take that in a second. There's probably a way if I told you you'd give up 26 to the Eagles that you might take that because of how much confidence you have in your offense. Now let's go to the New York Giants because Jameis Winston played pretty dang good for what was expected of him against that Green Bay Packer defense, led by Parsons and Gary Cooper behind all of that. Nixon in the secondary, very tough group. And New York, well, they were able to move the football down the field. $142 on the ground, you'll take that. Jameis Winston got into the end zone. Singletary, 2 touchdowns overall. And Winston was able to move the ball down the field effectively. I mean, they were able to put up 20 points, a chance there at the end to tie it. 50% on third down, but they were 3 of 4 on fourth down, being able to extend drives. I thought overall it was a very valiant effort from New York. Green Bay was able to move the football on the ground really well. Love didn't throw an interception, which was key for them to come out with the win. 128 yards, but on 5.5 yards a carry for Green Bay. I think that Detroit really has a major advantage in this game, attacking that Giant run defense. This Giants team has struggled the whole year being able to stop the run. Bottom 5 in the NFL in run defense. This is a Detroit team that didn't run the football well against Philly at all. But against New York, you imagine they could have a plus 150-yard day. Gibbs Montgomery, they'll be chomping at the bit right now to get after this one, especially at home, inside the dome, the fast track, and get everything going. You know, Jared Goff outdoors in the elements, in the cold a little bit. He looks like a different guy at times, especially playing up against a defense like that with Davis and Jordan, Jalen Carter right there in the middle of that, and the playmakers they have in the backs, in the defensive backfield makes it very tricky. So against this New York team, look, that's a dominant front 4 that you'll be facing in Brian Burns, who's right up there behind Myles Garrett for second in the NFL in sacks. They had 2 on Green Bay. Brian Burns came up with 2 of them. Pass defense. He had 4 quarterback hits. I mean, this guy has been a monster, one of the best defensive players in the league. It's just too bad that they're 2-9. It's funny, you look at, it's not funny at all, but Max Crosby's so good with the 2-8 Raiders, and you have Myles Garrett. They're 2-8 right now also, and he's been incredible. And then Brian Burns on the 2-9 Giants, some of the best defensive players at that edge position that just have not been able to find themselves with a team that's in the position to play in playoff games. I do think that could change now with the trajectory with Jaxson Dart at quarterback, who I have to address in this video because I talked about it last week in the preparation for the Giants and Green Bay game. But Jaxson Dart, I think that this experience on the bench, seeing what happens when you don't protect yourself and you don't get down, and you're looking at that game against Green Bay, I'm more certain than anything that Jaxson Dart feels like if he played against the Packers, he could have won that game. He could have gone out there and beat Green Bay, an opportunity at the end there to tie the game. I pretty much guarantee you he feels like he could have got the job done, and he was not able to because he was not available. Now, his status for this game against the Lions, uncertain right now, but most likely he will not be playing in this game because of that concussion going down against the Chicago Bears in that game. They would have beat Chicago if they had won that game. Detroit fans are probably pretty dang upset to see Dart go down in that game and they not pull it out. Now they're probably somewhat a bit relieved that if they didn't see a Jaxson Dart, they'd have probably a better chance to win this game at home. Look, I don't know if any of that matters. It's going to come down to, can the Giants limit this Detroit offense to less than 30 points? I'm going to go on the side that says no. They're too dangerous as a running tandem right now with Gibbs and Montgomery, despite them struggling throughout the day against Philly. This New York team and then the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving, they got a chance for 2 home games back-to-back. I think it's 3, actually. I want to say that they played the Dallas Cowboys also at home the Thursday, a week after Thanksgiving, to play that team. So I believe it's actually potentially 3 home games in a row, back-to-back-to-back, that they will have. They went to Gibbs. 107 yards on 5 receptions. I think that's something that you got to go to a little bit more often to spark your offense when the downfield passing attack just isn't there. And Montgomery had 1 catch for 10 yards. If you're not having success down the field against New York, which I believe that you definitely should, go to the dump offs, to Gibbs, to Montgomery. Would have liked to have seen a couple more screens to try and mitigate that pass rush from the Eagles. I got a lot of confidence that Jared Goff will bounce back in a major way. He could get sacked a couple of times now. This front for Detroit has been overall good on the season. Giving up 2 sacks to Philadelphia, it just felt like there was so many more than that. I believe they batted 5 passes down at the line. The interception on the opening possession on the second, third play of the game. Cooper DeJean picks it off out of the air on the deflection from Davis. That's just one of those types of guys that goes out there and makes a play. There's nothing you can really change if you're Jared Goff. It's not timing. It's not throwing the football earlier. You're not changing your motion. It's just a guy putting his hands up in the right spot, being 6'6" and being athletic enough to make a play there. So you just have to have the confidence, go back to it, know how to handle the adversity of that loss and that performance against Philadelphia, and go back in a controlled indoor environment and do it. For New York, with this receiving core, I got to tell you that I've been impressed watching back in that game against Chicago with the success they had through the air, attacking that Bears secondary. Hodgins, 57 yards. Tracy being able to pick up out of the backfield. He put up 50 yards. And then Theo Johnson, he had a decent day. We know Wan'Dale Robinson has been very good, but Theo Johnson, the tight end, getting involved. Look, they're going to just have to find a way to keep the ball out of Goff's hands as much as possible, having success on the ground. This feels like a blowout win for Detroit. Massive bounce back. This Detroit team is so dang tough to beat 2 times in a row. There's a large part of why this team just hasn't lost 2 games in a row in about 2 seasons. They're just they've been one of the best teams in the league, and they are very well coached. All of that talent around them, the mentality that they possess, that they're, first of all, hard to beat in general. It takes a complete effort and a team that's willing to take it to them and go the distance and match them pound for pound, physicality-wise, and attack in the key moments and not make mistakes. It takes a good day to beat the Detroit Lions. You look at their loss to the Chiefs, to the Vikings, to the Green Bay Packers. They didn't play bad all around in any of those losses. Maybe against Green Bay would be the only arguments overall of a worse performance. But, that game against Philadelphia, their defense played so well in that game that you'd almost have to give them credit overall from staying in it. I know that they'd want another crack at him, but unfortunately for the Lions and who they are as a far better team when they are at home, a loss like that, you're not going to play Philadelphia in your building in the playoffs. You are 2 games back. You're 6-4. They're 8-2. 2 games behind the tiebreaker. You got no shot to come back and catch the Philadelphia Eagles with that tiebreaker and being 2, really 3 games back of them. So if you were to play them in the postseason, even if you find a way to win the NFC North now, you're looking up at the Chicago Bears. You're looking up at the Green Bay Packers, who you'll play here and Thanksgiving in a week. But even so, you're going to be looking at a path to that Super Bowl that would run probably through a matchup with the Rams on the road or Seattle on the road, as well as a game at the Philadelphia Eagles. So you would need to beat probably two of those teams on the road for the Lions. So the difference that a year makes where they were the first seed and the injuries happen, and now this team is 6-4, and I mean, there's even a scenario here where they go 5-1 down the stretch and the division still isn't wrapped up, where they got to win a road game at Chicago, possibly in some very cold January temperatures. Jared Goff, the Cal Berkeley California kid playing outdoors in Chicago at the end of the season. I'd keep your eyes on the way that develops, because Chicago would only need to go 500, 3-3 the rest of the year, and Detroit would need to be 5-1 to be in a position where I would say that they would be 11-5 in that game. Bears would be 10-6. But the way it shakes out with the conference and the tiebreakers, the Bears could get ahead of them and win the division with a conference tiebreak record, with a better record in the conference if they were both 3-3 in the division, and you factored in that they'd have the same record at the end of that, both at 11-6. So for the Detroit Lions, it is a long slug back. This is the start of it with a win against the New York Giants. I think that they get the win in this one, emphatic fashion, 30-17, able to have a nice bounce back against New York for New York here. Obviously where it's at, you've got your franchise quarterback, and now it's probably about adding another weapon, a player in that secondary. A running back. There's a kid named Jeremiah Love in Notre Dame. I'm sure a lot of Giants fans would potentially like to add in that dynamic backfield with Cam Skattebo, but more likely than not, it'll probably be a wide receiver. They trade back for a wide receiver and add some talent for New York. But again, this is a game here. Jameis Winston or somehow Jaxson Dart is able to come and play in this one. We might have ourselves an interesting battle from Ford Field. So let me know down below in the comments what you think. Is Detroit going to win the NFC North? Who do you think that the Giants should go to in this game to have a shot against Detroit? Could they hold them under than 30? Really don't think they will. Thank you for watching this Blitz with Blender video. My name is Josh Blender. I make NFL and college content every week, getting you set and ready. We've got playoff implications, divisional implications in this one, specifically for the Detroit Lions, as they try to get back to the postseason, try and repeat as the NFC North champs. Got a lot of work to do. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blender, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blender. To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.